God of our fathers, the source of life, for abundance and beauties of grace, you gave a purpose in time and in space. Riches unremoved to fathom and find, heavens are not too high to fly. UOG, strengthen your wings and set to fly.
Thank you, Mrs. Alice Culver. A beautiful prayer expressed in song and hearted in song. So please may I invite you to one more time give a big round of applause to Mrs. Alice Culver. It's a 2-hour presentation of various research programs across the university and also in respective schools and also the research centers. And also we will be sharing with you the development of the Somare Research Institute, which is an institute that has been set up to provide the overall coordination and regulation for research and publication activities at the University of Goroka. I also would like to make a special mention of the research center directors at the University of Goroka. We have 7 research centers, and these centers have positions of directorship, and our senior academics are assigned to provide research leadership as directors. So we would like to acknowledge them at a time like this because we value their leadership. Otherwise, I'd like to acknowledge all the senior academics that are here. Thank you for coming. Heads of divisions who are here as well, I thank you for coming. Also, senior students, postgraduate students, I see you in the audience, so I thank you as well for your time. Also, students who are here, you'll be learning new things today, and we hope that you can note some of these things and plan a career pathway for you if you are interested in pursuing postgraduate research. This is Somare Research Institute and University of Goroka Seminar Series. Launching and opening for 2022. Now, this is not a new thing. We've always had seminar series in our respective schools, in the School of Education, School of Science and Technology, and School of Humanities. Seminar series have been organized and delivered. We've invited people from outside to come, and also officers within university to present papers and engage in academic discourse on matters that really matter to our institution and also to our country and the Pacific and the world. And so in the past we have always had that very exciting presentations, but this time we'd like to oversee this coordination of seminar presentations through the Somare Research Institute, because so that we don't compete for seminar venues, we don't compete for resources, we don't compete for guest speakers. Sometimes we end up inviting the same people, or otherwise, we don't have people to present. And so if we can collectively organize and mobilize our resources and facilitate delivery of seminar series through a coordinating sort of unit, I think we can achieve a lot of greater outputs. And therefore, the Somare Research Institute will oversee the delivery of the seminar series for the university. So we ask that you cooperate when we have seminars scheduled, and in fact we are planning to have fortnightly seminar series, and it will be rotational. So this week we provide the overall or overarching view of research programs and research activities at the university. And after 2 weeks, we will have School of Education present. The following 2 weeks, we'll have School of Science and Technology, and then we have a rotation again across the schools. And so in that way, we worked it out in such a way that every school will have 6 presentations. We can increase opportunity for more people to present in this bigger presentation. All right. So with this, I'd like to invite Dr. Matthew Landu, who is going to be speaking on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor and the Pro-Vice-Chancellor Policy and Planning, to come forward and maybe talk about the top management team vision and support for research and innovation for the University of Goroka, and declare 2022 UOG SRI Seminar Series open. Thank you, Dr. Matthew Landu.
Yeah, research is, Ms. Landu reminds us, get on with the research. Because we were marked down on research by the external audit team. And then it was a shake-up call for the university. And the former council and TNT established the Somare Institute in response to that. So get the research going. And next year we will have another audit, but we must have some answers. Otherwise they will think they give us advice and we were sleeping on it. So we are happy with what we're doing so far in response to that. Research is not new, it's always been done here at the university, but now just shift the gear to higher levels. So we would like to, as TMT, definitely continue support of research, develop the research machinery, and then the vehicle for carrying research, the vehicle will be the Somare Institute and the research centers. This is the vehicle to carry the research. But then the actual research that's going to be done, the involvement of academics in research, that also will be supported. It must be supported by big funding also. And Dr. Awi, in a capacity as Executive Director of the Somare Institute, will assist in this manner. We have always been looking at the University Research Committee, the URPC, for funding, and that's okay, but at very low levels. We're going to bring it up higher, so there's more funding available for the university from its own sources. And then when we begin to demonstrate our capacity for research and our output, then we will be able to attract external funding. So the Somare Institute is very important for that. And then we wonder what's the purpose of research? The government wants research, both for discovery of what is possible as well as for advice for its policy making, for planning improvement of our people's lives, for our contribution to the world, and so forth. So the government has strategic plans and priorities. That's also based on research, seeing what is needed in the country, and those are set. Now, in response to that, we also have to be informed. We don't just guess fire. They come to us as people who are supposed to give informative advice, well-grounded advice. You see, when we go for, like some of the conferences and stuff, when they talk about teacher education, they ask UOG, they know. People from Unitec and UPNG and PAU, they will say, okay, now in matters of education, the University of Goroka, they are the experts, so ask them. Are we able to give this kind of advice? Yes, we do teaching here, yes, but we must also be able to give them advice as specialists based on research and our own thinking and our really lively and active debates and so forth. So we can provide this kind of advice to the rest of the country, the other universities and the government. So that's why we must go into research. For example, we say that there's a drop in English standards in the country. This is the assumption that we all have. We can say this is it, but show them that statement based on data collected. We must show them that. So there's a certain amount of students, percentage-wise, measurement level, and then maybe through the application of improvement strategies, remedial activity and so forth, we can see an improvement. This must be calculated and based on research. So this is why research is so important. We're going to be sleeping. When the external auditors say, do your research, start research, you're going, hey, this is an important wake-up call. So we must respond to that. So the current TMD, the council now is intent on supporting research. We're going to push the Somare Research Institute to the next level. It's going to be a really leading institute in the country. Thank you.
The next presenter on the list is, we'll give each of the deans, executive deans and executive directors to say a few words, 5 minutes only, on their perspective of the need for staff members to do academic research on programs and challenges and issues in the respective schools at the University of Goroka. So we'll begin by inviting the Executive Dean for the School of Humanities, Mr. Sakaya Botu. Please make him welcome by giving him a round of applause.
There are 3 important university functions. One is teaching, 2 is research, 3 is engagement or community engagement. From my assessment, I would give a tick for teaching and learning. For research, I would not give a tick, but I am so happy that we are progressing. We took off and we are progressing, and maybe in the future we will be flying high as a university in terms of research. For engagement, I would also think that we are progressing. I'd like to remind us that universities are for the community, so whatever we do, we should collaborate with the communities both within and global to achieve something for common purpose. My acknowledgement and thank you goes to the previous management as well as the current management, because they have been and are very supportive with the research activities. Given the external audit report, we have, as a university, established the Somare Research Institute, and thank you so much, Dr. Awi, for providing the leadership, and also the center directors. They are very, very important people. They work closely with the Somare Research Institute office. At the same time, schools and institutes are there to give them the support in terms of collaborative research, advisory role, and so forth. Now, to me, at the school level, in terms of research, I would think that we should not look further than where we are, because we have so many unanswered questions within our own territory. Now, as Dr. Potek always reminds us in some forums, that excellent research. What is excellent research? Excellent research is all about doing research to improve the current practice. We need to look at what is not working well within our environment, the university environment. And our immediate focus at the school level, as we are beginning to identify the research fields, we need to focus on the issues that are of concern or affecting our universities, so that we can provide research evidence for decision makers. And year in, year out, council and management are saying, what is happening to this and that? We need to provide research evidence, so at the council level or management level, they can make this informed decision, and that decision must be research evidence. So that is very, very important to us. We look within, and then of course, our job as a state universities is to align our research activities to the national research agenda. And to do that, we have been discussing that, and we will continue to do that, connect with the stakeholders, very, very important stakeholders like the Research, Science and Technology Secretariat and other important research institutions within the country, because they also focus on the national research agenda. So that as professional organizations and professional groups, we can establish that network and work together to address our own issues, again to improve our own practices, and at the same time contribute to national research. So for me, in the School of Humanities, I would like to think that when we are looking at our research fields, we focus on the issues that are affecting us so that we can do research and provide research evidence to make informed decisions. Okay, at the postgraduate level, yes, I think this is something that we must support at the research center level and in the school level. Dr. Avi, the schools are with you, the institutes are with you, our research directors and the research directors, the deans are with you, the executive directors are with you, and because research is a very, very important function of the university, we will collaborate as much as possible to move the University of Goroka research agenda forward in terms of helping our students to pursue postgraduate studies, both on campus and off campus. And for students at the undergraduate level, I think, I don't know about other university, but I think University of Goroka is the only university that is offering research course for undergraduate students. And this is because we believe that we want to give you the basic skills in research in preparation for your postgraduate studies.
Sorry, Dr. Potek, Pro-Vice-Chancellor Policy and Planning, is joining us. So maybe I can invite you to come forward and say a few words about the top management team support for research, infrastructure and development at the university. Thank you.
Yes, research is a core of this institution. Any global universities, they must do research, create new knowledge for the future generation, for the institution and also for the new generation. Let's speak research. It's a very important area that we need to create new knowledge to fix the world, our institution, our courses, our country. So yes, TMD will put in the full support for the Somare Research Institute and other institutions in our schools system, so that we pursue with a bigger picture. With funding, you don't know about funding. You continue working and talking. Let's talk, we walk and talk. Funding, we look around, it will come. Because there will be other scholars coming in. When the building is fixed up, we'll invite scholars to come, and when they come, the money moves, money talks, money walks. So just take it, moves, walk and talk. So let's start the bottom line. It's good to have research. Our new student, postgraduate student, be encouraged to do research. The executive deans of the Humanities mentioned this morning, excellent research. That's also part of the main research. Excellent research, it's short time frame about what we are doing and we want improvement. It's short and then it's a time frame. Pure research is more time, more money is going to that. For pure research, it takes a longer. The time frame is longer than excellent research. So both play the same role. But the time frame is excellent is shorter than pure. Telephone clear. TMT is behind the move and will move to make this institution. We talk and talk about research. Let's do it. If the money comes, let's do it. We got the building up. It's not only for pillars. but for research. And other institutions around the country, they will come here, learn from us. And we also learn from them. Interaction. And that's one way we can pick up. Leave the bad ones and we pick up the good ones to help ourselves. So yes, TMT will be behind the scene. And no matter what, we will be there. And then we also encourage other participants from other schools to join in. Oh, employ UPLA, not us. No, that's not. The team, the core is everybody joining in. And we work as a team. The moment we create a team, network, we are solid, firm in our decision making. So research is not only in the classroom, but also outside. If our students doing research outside, please advise so that funding is made available. And TMT must be aware what benefit it will bring to our institution, what benefit it will bring to you, what benefit it will bring to our people in the society. Research should be disseminated, ideas should be flowing across the globe, across our country, society, so we all benefit. So research only for UOG, but for everybody, so that we can benefit. Many research we talk a lot, but it's seldom in the room. And if that happens, there is no value. Research must be activated, disseminated, so everybody knows what we are doing. And then what the research for? Who benefits? For what? For who? When? So these are areas that we must target. Having a TNT here, we are watching and listening and observing what you are doing. This morning, research is fun, nice, but the structure needs to be followed. And then people using some of this Latin word in the research, it's okay, but try to simplify. Even in agriculture study, we have, this scientific name for mushroom, for potato, cow, sweet potato. It's okay, but in English you put cow or sweet potato. So you have the Latin word and you have the common word. In that way, we encourage our reader to proceed with the reading of the article. If you go Latin all the time or scientific wording all the time, we'll lose interest. So when you're not doing research, do that. So that your article is, sounds more academic. And people will learn from your article. With this short message, I encourage us to work together, teamwork, positive teamwork, and let's move forward. Enough talk. Let's move and make this place a different university for Papua New Guinea and the Southwest Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Potek, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Policy and Planning. Thank you for inspiring us with these powerful words and reminding us that research can translate to policy development and also make an impact in our community and our society. So thank you, Dr. Potek, for your speech. I will now invite Executive Dean for the School of Education, Dr. Agewa Zemming, to come forward and share his perspective on the need for academics in the School of Education to do research and publication. Please put your hands together and give a big round of applause to Dr. Agewa Zemming.
The former TMT, thank you very much for setting this institute that is headed by Dr. Awi. Thank you to the current management. The current management is for research and they are positive and they are going to fund it. We have already been told that money will be coming, so thank you very much. The executive deans, directors, students. I will not take long, but I just want to explain that what educational research means for the sake of our students here. for the lecturers, you all know what research is all about. But for the students, what educational research is all about. Educational research is all about making a systematic investigation, collecting and analyzing data in education, doing it systematically, and write a report about it. And that should aim to solve problems, discover new things, assess situations, systematically assess things, how things work, and so forth. So there are many ways, there are many aims for research. But at the university here, basically the students, we have postgraduate students doing honors and masters and Ph.D. students. They come here to do academic research, and mainly they do it in education. And in education, as you know, education is a wide field. There's so many things that you can investigate in education, ranging from preschool, elementary, early childhood, to primary, high school, secondary, tertiary, and you just mentioned, that's a very big field. And so, you have so many topics to do research on and writing thesis if you are a student here. So, education is a very big field. You can specialize in your own field. Say, for example, teachers, those of you who are teachers here, coming for in-service and at postgraduate level, you can do research in all those different fields that you specialize in when you come to the university. Primary, secondary, and tertiary. That's a big field. But there are also a lot of topics that you can do in education in general. Say, for example, classroom teachers. Curriculum has got to be done. Before you write a curriculum, you have to conduct the research. Research should inform curriculum development. Research should inform curriculum policy making. Research should inform all these curriculum activities. So, what I'm saying here is that there are so many fields that you can think about when you think about educational research. There's so many topics that you can think about. So I'm just, for our students, I'm encouraging you to think about all those different fields, especially the areas that you are specializing in. You can pick a topic from there and conduct research. And this is the opportunity now given to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so all the formal opening remarks have been concluded. We begin the presentation by providing you an overview of the Somare Research Institute. Now, as many earlier presenters have articulated, the Somare Research Institute came into existence in 2019, but it was conceived in 2018 as a result of an external audit by an external team that came to the university to assess the quality of academic programs at the university. And even though University of Goroka we've been doing research and publication, however, according to the external audit, it was deemed as we did not do research and publication. That was according to their assessment. And with that, the top management team responded by setting up a working committee to develop the corporate strategic plan for 2019 to 2023. And in one of the recommendations, which is recommendation for improvement of coordination of research and publication, it was expanded further in the corporate strategic plan, and this recommendation became pillar number 2 for research and innovation to be coordinated effectively. And that's how the Somare Research Institute came to be. So just to provide a background of that. And you've seen the vision, you're now seeing the mission statement is to serve as an overall coordinating arm and a regulatory body for all research activities at the University of Goroka. It also serves as a hub for national government research that will inform policy initiatives for the government. Thank you. And our research policy is aimed or is framed against these 5 key pillars. Number 1 is to support all research centers, especially in the schools that have very specific research focus. That's the scientific research, humanities research, and education research. The second pillar is to focus on supporting postgraduate research program at various levels, honors, masters, and PhD level. Pillar number 3 is to work closely with the national government through its national coordinating unit, which is known as PNG Research Science and Technology Secretariat. So we've been having close communication and association with them since 2021, and we will continue to do that so that all our institutional research agenda are framed against the national research agenda, and that will give us greater opportunity to secure government funding, that we can trickle down the funding to various research programs to increase research and publication activities at the University of Goroka. And also would like to focus on research programs that will derive practical solutions for policy formation and policy development for the government. So we're working very closely with the government through PNG Research Science and Technology Secretariat. The 4th pillar is research collaboration and research partnership with external organizations and institutions, especially international organizations. And so our research centers and our schools and institute already have this partnership with institutional universities, institutions abroad, and we will continue to maintain that linkage and partnership so that through collaborative research project we can bring in more money that can support our research programs and our research activities, and particularly focus on supporting our postgraduate students and the undergraduate students that do research method 1 and 2, so that we can create a pathway for the next generation of researchers for Papua New Guinea, and also next generation of academics with critical thinking for leadership. And the 5th pillar is community engagement. And so University of Goroka is positioned strategically at a location where we have access to the 5 provinces in the Highlands, and also would like to be a leader in research so that all our research output translate to application in the community. And we already have a very good relationship with the surrounding communities, and in fact University of Goroka is one of the universities, maybe the only university that is surrounded with the community. So we'd like to increase this community partnership and engagement with the community, so our knowledge translate and means something to the people. So these are the 5 key pillars of our research policy. So we will be successfully achieving this if we work together with this interrelationship with the schools, with the Somare Research Institute, and also with the research centers. So we have begun some partnership already last year, and in 2020 we did an internal audit by assessing where our strengths and our capacities are, and so we worked with individuals outside. Now the slide you see before you is the reporting structure for the Somare Research Institute. Because we've consolidated the operation of the research programs and activities, this is the structure that provides clarity for the reporting purpose. And so the 7 research centers will report to the Office of the Executive Director, and the Office of the Executive Director will report to the Office of the Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Academic Policy and Planning, and it goes up. But there is a very good relationship, as you can see where the dotted arrow is, that the Somare Research Institute works very closely with the schools and the institute, and also with the research centers. And the research centers also work very closely with the School of Postgraduate, and the various schools we have, and also the research, the institutes that we have at the university. So we're trying to strengthen this coordination so that we get greater output for our investment in research and publication at our university. And so the postgraduate students, you may find yourself attached to a research center where the expertise is and where fields of studies are developed, and you'll be able to work with the supervisors and experts in those fields based on your area of interest and focus. Okay, so the slide that you see is our collaboration and partnership with PNG Research and Science Technology Secretariat, and also important individual peoples like the scientist Dr. Clement Wyden, whom we invited to share with us their thoughts about how research are being translated for money making, big money making. So it was a good opportunity to network with them. That was last year. Now we're beginning to see a little bit of key outputs, and we hope to invest more in harnessing these key outputs for research and publication. We'd like to increase research projects and activities, also increase academic self-publication, increase postgraduate publication, especially core publication of postgraduate students and their supervisors. We also would like to increase production of academic publication so that it's a regular sort of output, and also increase publication and regular publication for local internal university journals, and share these with the global community so that they know what kind of research happens and takes place at the University of Goroka. Sometimes, you know, you go abroad and you study, and your own indigenous knowledge and practices are being studied by someone from abroad, and they put a tab or a log to it, and you have to pay to access it. And so we would like to be the authors of our own knowledge and practices. We have so much to offer the world. And so if we can capture these, focus on that, do research, and share these with a value attached to it, I think that will sustain our efforts and initiatives to promote research and publication at UOG and in PNG. We're getting increased funding and would like to maintain this good working relationship to continue to do research so the top management sees the output of our research efforts and publication, and they can continue to increase funding for our research activities at the university. And we're also building network and partnership with institutions in the country, so that's a good thing as well that we are investing in. Now, so far, these journals have emerged as a result of an external audit, and the School of Education has set up Education, Research and Publication journals, and the School of Humanities have Melanesian Perspective journals, and the School of Science and Technology have Popular Science Journal. Now, these journals will be platforms for publication of academic research and publication. We encourage postgraduate students and supervisors to co-publish, so we maintain continuation of publication. Now also we have our School of Postgraduate Journal, which Professor Solon will speak about. That has been in existence before these three other journals came about. And the School of Postgraduate has a very successful rate in terms of publication, and Professor Solon will speak about. All right, so this final slide informs you that we are currently working on this renovated space for Somare Research Institute since 2019 to 2021. We've been operating virtually. Everything we do is online. We communicate, correspond. We do things using email, using Google Drive. We have an office that's online office that uses a shared tool that's called Google Drive. So all our communication is done online. However, we're very grateful that the top management team has seen the necessity for visibility of research and publication with a tangible infrastructure. So they have given us the clinic space. It's been renovated now, and by the end of March we should move in, and we should prepare for a bigger launch for the Somare Research Institute. Now, this is a temporary arrangement. We will be there till our new building is being constructed, and we're working really hard to maintain communication and network with all the donor agencies, the government, individual government members, also our collaborators internationally, to generate support for funding for the futuristic Somare Research Institute building. And we will bring them to the launching of the Somare Research Institute together with the groundbreaking ceremony for the Central Administration building, which will be announced soon. Right now the cabinet is in Parliament City, and therefore we don't have a confirmed date for the launching. And we will announce it, we'll publicize it, we'll send emails to all staff confirming the date of the launching of the Somare Research Institute, together with the groundbreaking ceremony for the Central Administration. So when you see our invitation, please come and let's celebrate these achievements that we've progressed through. So thank you, and this is our staff right now. We have only 3 staff members, but we are recruiting some more staff members as well, and the number will increase. And I will now invite our first presenter, Professor Mark Solon, to come forward and probably say a few words, share with us his sort of speech, his speech for research activities and publication activities at the university, and then deliver a specific presentation on our postgraduate research program and activities. Thank you. Professor Solon, please put your hands together for him. Thank you.
When I was dreaming about the establishment of the University of Goroka, one of those activities that I wanted to see happen is for UOG to do research. As we know, research, teaching, and community service are the primary goals of any university institutions anywhere. So it is a pleasure to see that that dream is beginning to take shape and is going forward. When I left the university, after some time, I was invited back to see if I can coordinate the postgraduate studies. When I came in, there was only one secretary, and the director's position was vacant. That was about 2015. The dream then was to drive or to help students at the postgraduate level to do research. And one of those is to conduct research and to do the postgraduate studies or research by research. There are 2 forms of research. One is to do a postgraduate degree. Some can do it by coursework, others do it by research. The dream for the University of Goroka is that we want to offer postgraduate studies, students to do their research, to do their postgraduate studies by research. And it is based on that we've been encouraging our postgraduate students, honors, masters, and Ph.Ds, to do it by research. It means that you have to conduct research yourself, plan your research, and go and collect data, come and analyze it, and then produce the evidence that will support your conclusions. I think in the past, we have been data collectors for researchers elsewhere. And that's the dream that we want to establish at the postgraduate level. And at this point, with the partnership with the Somare Research Institute, we want to say that we are seasoned researchers. We can plan our research, we can go and collect the data, we can analyze the data, and we can come up with the results, and we can publish the results and share it with the world. So that's the dream. And that's what is driving the School of Postgraduate Studies. The presentation that I'm going to share with you is basically to share with you what the postgraduate studies has done in the last 8 years or so that we get the help us to move forward, to drive us to want to do research. And of course, doing research is a challenge. It's not a walk in the park. Research is something that you have to do, you have to plan, you have to have the discipline, and you have the ability to think clearly, to think logically, and to write logically, and to present your ideas. So that is research. It's not a walk in the park. So we will share with you some of the achievements that postgraduate studies has done, and we trust that you will share in the dreams of this university to be a professional researcher and assist the world to expand knowledge, to advise on policies, and to improve practice in our country. The aim of the postgraduate program, of course, as we have heard, is to produce high-quality knowledge, skills, and professional attitudes. Also to improve analytical and reflective knowledge and skills, and to create a desire to generate new knowledge and skills as well. Further, to develop substantive and in-depth knowledge of disciplines. Again, we're repeating, but you will see that these are primary skills and knowledge for anyone who wants to do research. Want to pursue in the university's quality assurance and relevance agenda, and this is what the Somare Research Institute is about. It is the driving mechanism for us to build that quality assurance and the relevance of our research in this country. When we go to the academic program of the postgraduate studies, the program consists of 2:4 ratio course and program structure. It means that students who come into the postgraduate studies will take 2 common research and writing, 2 common research skills and writing, and that is in the postgraduate research methods, and the other is on thesis writing. And those 2 are the ones that are common to all postgraduate students. And then they can take 4 other courses from the discipline area. So that's a total of 6 courses if schools want to also add to that. So we have 2 common research and publication skills, and the other 4 are research discipline knowledge, and that concludes with a thesis. All that, when you combine them, the postgraduate students conduct research and writes a thesis as evidence of the achievement of all the skills that we share about research. So, just an example, a school would have someone who comes into a postgraduate studies program, we do thesis writing as a writing skill, and then we do basic research method skills, which are very important for planning our research. Planning your research and then going out, collecting the data, coming back, analyzing it, and producing it in the form of your thesis. So these are some examples. Our progress to date so far, from about 2015 to this year, we've enrolled over 503 students in the postgraduate studies. And today we have graduated over 103 postgraduate students. Our output generally is in about 20% of the output of intake. That demonstrates that we are a little bit behind schedule. Our success story needs to be improved. So it means that we need partnership from all of us, the schools, the staff, the supervisors, and the students. When we go into that, we must aim to get the results. But yes, we admit that it is a challenge. On the publication since 2015, 7 volumes of the postgraduate Journal of Postgraduate Studies and Research have been published. And we continue to aim at least publishing once a year. But that can only be successful if we submit articles. And again, postgraduate studies, if you finish your research, it is advised that you and your supervisor putting together the results of your research. And this can be a challenge. But if you want to do that, just a quick example is look at your abstract. The abstract of your research, of your thesis, is the summary of your research. That is the message that you want to deliver. And then you build on that by explaining the methods of how you conducted your research and analyze your data and what the findings are. Those are the basic summary of any article. So just to give us an example, it's not easy. We find it is still challenging, but if we begin to do this, we will get there. Postgraduate studies is a combination of all our work. Postgraduate studies depends on the schools. It depends on the supervisors from the schools. It depends on the postgraduate studies committees from the schools. The schools are our right hand in implementing our research because you have the expertise. So postgraduate studies and postgraduate students depend on you. The other is the supervisors are coming from the schools, and we trust that when the research centers go, we will have all the skills and the expertise from there. So we trust that together we will move forward, and we will depend on your advice and your expertise to guide our postgraduate students. Partnership with SRI, we see this partner, it's if you want to, partnership for SRI as the center, but postgraduate studies must work with the schools and the research centers so that jointly we can produce the results that we are leading towards. I think that's in brief the summary of what we do. I trust that this will inspire most of our postgraduate students and those who want to move forward to have some idea and to begin to plan to come and join postgraduate studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mark Solon, the Executive Director for the School of Postgraduate Studies. Now, it continues to provide pivotal eye-level academic research leadership at the University of Goroka, and we thank him for his leadership because he was the pioneer Vice-Chancellor, and he continues to provide that direction and support for the growth and the development of the University of Goroka. So aren't we very blessed to have him present today. Our next presenter on the list is Dr. Bill Sagir. He has a Ph.D. in anthropology and is a senior lecturer with the Soil Science Division and also provides research leadership as a director with the Center for Melanesian Studies. So may I invite Dr. Bill Sagir to come to the podium to do your presentation, please.
Let me start my talk with this quote from Bernard Narakobi, something he wrote in 1982, so many years ago. We used to have a newspaper called The Times of PNG, a weekly newspaper. Mr. Narakobi had a column in that newspaper. This quote is taken from something that he wrote. I cannot remember exactly what it was, but I like this quote and I have remembered it since. Every nation, like every person, needs a dream, a vision to live by. This morning we are talking about our visions and dreams for research at the University of Goroka. And I think this quote from Bernard Narakobi is very pertinent. And perhaps we can replace nation with institution. Every institution, like every person, needs a dream, a vision to live by. We have our research visions that we are talking about. I was very privileged towards the end of last year when Professor Solon paid me a visit in my office. And he shared with me his vision of making the University of Goroka a research university. University of Goroka must become a research university. After Professor Solon left, I did some readings on research universities. I found that a lot has been written on research universities in the United States. And one important thing that I found out was that employers in the United States prefer graduates of research universities. And one of the main reasons is that graduates of research universities have highly developed conceptual and intellectual skills, which employers prefer. We hope at some point in the future, UOG will become such a university with graduates who have highly developed intellectual and conceptual skills. And then we have our Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Maninga, who has talked in various contexts about UOG becoming a leader in research. These are our visions, our dreams. We have to make these dreams a reality. What I have here is the vision, the dream for research and publications in the Center for Melanesian Studies. We have research out here. And research, we mean the whole process of coming up with a topic, identifying and formulating a research problem, and research questions associated with the problem. Reading literature on the topic, reviewing the literature available, and identifying the most appropriate research methods, data collection methods to collect, analyze data, come up with research findings. The research findings should inform our teaching. So we go from the field to the classroom. That means that we don't have to download stuff from the internet and teach our students. I hear students complaining that, oh, this lecturer or that lecturer has just taken stuff from the internet. If we do research, our teaching in the classroom can be informed by what we have done research on. And then, you don't just go from the field to the classroom, but you go from the classroom to publications as well. From research, you can prepare seminar and conference papers, have them presented in conferences, in seminars, and then go from there to publications. Or you can go direct from research to publications. What I don't have here is postgraduate research and thesis. Sorry, my apologies to any postgraduate students who are here. But you go from research to thesis, and from thesis to publications. You can get journal articles out, book chapters, or books. This is the vision and dream that I have for the Center of Melanesian Studies. What we need to do now is to make it a reality. And what I'm going to go into now are some research fields that I propose for the Center for Melanesian Studies. It's what I have been thinking of. I told Mr. Botu that I would document all this and pass it to him, and then through him to the HODs, and eventually we would agree on a number of research fields for the Center for Melanesian Studies as well as the School of Humanities. So the first one, research into indigenous-owned micro, small, and medium enterprises. Big man and business. I just put this here because I remembered a study that was done so many years ago by an American anthropologist, Ben Finney, who came to Goroka and did his research on big man and business. The role that traditional big man, clan leaders, played in developing businesses in the Goroka Valley, using their positions as traditional big men to move into different businesses, trade stores, coffee, cattle, and other businesses. Maybe, I was thinking, maybe this can be revisited after so many years. The other one is on foreign dominance and control of businesses in the Highlands. I was reminded of a study that was done by Mr. Johnson Ahupa on Asian-owned and controlled businesses in Goroka. Could be something that staff in social science and business studies can collaborate on. The second field is language and linguistic research. I acknowledge the presence of Mr. Tama. I thought of documentation of endangered languages in PNG. Every time I go home, I note that little children grow up speaking Topisin. And it reminds me of myself in their age, wondering if I would ever speak a word of Topisin. Because in my time, it was just Topless. Now I wonder if these children will ever speak a word of my Topless. The second area, it's just something that I put in there. Linguistic studies of various indigenous languages. And there are so many other possibilities that colleagues in this area can come up with. The third field is historical research, where I think research into the political history of PNG can be done. In the Division of Social Science last year, we had a seminar series, and I gave a presentation on the rise, decline, and fall of Sir Michael Somare. And I found that there is a real poverty in terms of information available. Well, there is so much, but most of these are probably held in the National Archives in PNG. I'm hoping that with the Prime Minister's promise to build a museum in the name of Sir Michael Somare in Biwek, with that, a lot of these materials can be digitized and kept for future generations. And perhaps we can do the same through the Somare Research Institute. Digitize a whole lot of these things, these newspaper reports from pre-independence and also the post-independence period. Keep them for research purposes. The economic and political history of the Highlands of PNG and other parts of PNG as well, but I put Highlands of PNG because we are in the Highlands of PNG. The next field is political and social research, where I think at this time, in this year, we at election 2022, staff in political science, other social sciences should be involved in observations, monitoring, and documentation of election 2022. Last week, some colleagues and I were talking about things that are happening now, the political undercurrents at the current time that might have some influence on the outcomes of election 2022. We need to start observing and documenting. And we have other, research areas that I had in mind. district development authorities, maybe COVID-19, so many different aspects of COVID-19. The second last field is urbanization and land research. We began to do research on urbanization, migration, and the growth of informal settlements in PNG, formal and informal land transactions in Goroka and neighboring areas. I thank Dr. McPherson, who was the external examiner for a student that I supervised, whose research was on these land transactions. And Dr. McPherson submitted or gave back very detailed comments, very thought-provoking, which made me think a lot and spend a lot of time thinking. And we eventually changed the conceptual framework for my students' thesis from land grabbing to informal land transactions, which I think fits better into the research that he did. Okay, the final area is into arts and culture, commercial development of the arts in PNG, documentation of tangible and intangible cultural heritage, which is something that my colleague, Mr. Vincent Poe, is already doing with his students. Some publications should come out of work that he is doing with his students. And also cultural mapping, which is something that the National Cultural Commission will get into. Mr. Poe and I were in Port Moresby last week to assist with the finalization of the National Cultural Policy 2022 to 2032. And the Commission hopes that with this policy, it can get funding for a whole lot of things that it wants to do, including cultural mapping. And I think we can tap into this, especially where cultural mapping studies are done in the highlands of PNG. Okay, these are research fields that I have in mind, some of which came about through discussions with some colleagues. But developing these research fields does not necessarily mean that all members of the staff in the School of Humanities have to be part of these fields. Some members of the school may find that these proposed research fields are not of any interest to them. This may be strange new animals, maybe animals from Africa or Asia or somewhere, which is of no interest to them. They may be still interested in their pigs. So that should not discourage you. Go with what your interest is in. Develop proposals, submit them. And if you're lucky, you get funding, you do your research, and you go through the process. Inform your teaching in the classroom. Go for conferences, seminars, and have publications out of whatever you do. Thank you.
That's all right, thank you. We appreciate you providing leadership on mapping out the research fields, because it's really important to have some areas of fields of study that are unique for University of Goroka, so that we are leaders in these fields of study. You know, we're doing so many research, but it's important to identify 1 or 2 or 3 fields of studies that can place University of Goroka on PNG map as well as the world map, because then we become authorities. And so people from abroad will come to University of Goroka to do research and to understand the Melanesian epistemology or Melanesian worldview, the way we live and experience things with us at our university, okay? So it's really important that we have a senior academic who provides that leadership. So thank you, Dr. Sagir, for highlighting this. And for prospective postgraduate students who are amongst the crowd, you begin to receive this presentation and map out your research career pathway too, if you are interested to pursue honors or masters next year and the following year.